Corporate actions. So these are some of the actions that a corporate takes on its shares. When a company takes certain action on its shares, those reflect on the shareholders as well. So what are these corporate actions? There are mainly a few which you should be knowing, which is very important for you to stay in the stock market. So we'll go one by one and we'll try and discover them as we see through in this video. So let's see the first corporate action, the dividend. What is a dividend? We all have heard about dividend. We all know what dividend is, but still, dividend, I would say, is a part of company's profit that is shared with the shareholder. So if you're a shareholder of a company and the company makes a profit on a particular year, they decide to either keep a part of the profit for their requirement, and the remaining they might decide to distribute amongst the shareholders. So this money that the company distributes amongst the shareholder is the dividend income for the shareholder. So you might have seen a dividend of 400%, 800%, 500%. What does it mean? Does it mean if the company is worth 100 rupee in the stock market and a 500% dividend means is going to give you 500 rupees as the dividend payout? No, that's not true. So even if the company's share is worth 100 rupees in the stock market now, it's trading at 100 rupees. A 200% dividend doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to give you a 200 rupee dividend. A dividend is calculated on the face value. A dividend yield is calculated on the trading value. So there is a difference. So if a dividend is 200% means a dividend of 200% is given on the face value of the share. So remember when we determined the face value of the share in our corporate video, startup to IPO, series 1, I think it's in the first episode that we discussed how you break down a share and how you break down a company and form a share and form the face value of a particular share. So that's the face value and not the trading value of a particular share. So on that face value, if the company pays 100% dividend and if your face value at that point of time was 5 rupees, 100% dividend would be a 5 rupee dividend. A 200% dividend would be a 10 rupee dividend on that share. Doesn't matter if your share is trading at 1,000 rupees, 2,000 rupees, 5,000 rupee in the stock market. If your face value is 5 rupee, 100% dividend on that 5 rupee face value is a 5 rupee dividend. So even if your stock is trading at 5,000 rupee a share, you will get a 5 rupee dividend on it. Okay? Is it mandatory to pay the dividend? No, absolutely not. As I just discussed, the company takes a call. It decides whether it needs the capital expenditure money for any further expansion. Does it have any expansion plan? Does it have any growth plan in the future? What plans does it have? How will it grow in future? So if they have plans for growth, they'll keep all the money with themselves. They might not declare a dividend to the shareholders at all. If they do not have a plan, if they do not have an expansion plan, if they do not have a growth plan in the future, if they don't foresee anything in the near future, they just want to run the business as it is going, then probably they might take a call to distribute the profits to the shareholder. Okay, so it's not mandatory, it's up to the company. So having said this, a second question rises. Does it mean that a dividend is always paid out from the company's profit? Again, the answer is no. So we just now said that if the company makes a profit, then a part of that profit is shared with the shareholder, didn't we? But then again, no, it's not always shared from the profit. The company might take a decision to pay out a dividend from the cash reserves it has. So suppose it made a loss this year. So suppose it made a loss during the 2020 Corona crisis. But still, the company says, okay, fine, we want to distribute dividends to our shareholders. And what the company does is, they take a part of the cash that they have in their cash reserves and distribute it amongst the shareholders. So it's not necessary that the company has to make a profit to declare and deliver a dividend, they can do it from their cash reserves as well. This decision to whether we should pay out a dividend or we should not pay out a dividend is carried out during the annual general meet of the company, the AGM that we call. And in this meeting, 4 important dates comes out in front. What are these dates? Dividend declaration date, a record date, ex-dividend date, and a dividend payout date. So what are these dates? We'll try and understand one by one. The dividend declaration date. This is the date when the annual general meeting happens and the company decides that they are going to pay a dividend to the shareholders. So this is called the date when the company declares to the shareholder that we are going to give a dividend. When? That's a different date. The record date. The record date is the date when the company looks at its records and finds out who are the shareholders that they have, who are those people for whom a dividend is going to be paid. So who is going to get a dividend? It's that record date which determines the names of those shareholders who is going to get a dividend from the company. That is the record date. The ex-dividend date. This date entitles a person to a dividend. So if you have a share of a particular company on or before this date, so on this date, if the company finds that you hold a share in this company, then you are eligible to get a dividend payout. So that is the ex-dividend date. And then the dividend payout date, this is the date when the company pays out the dividend to the shareholder. So this is the dividend payout date. So what is an interim dividend and a final dividend? When the company pays a dividend in the middle of a year, in the middle of a financial year, that's called an interim dividend. And a final dividend is paid at the end of a financial year. So the trick is, if you want to get a dividend payout from a company, buy the share before the ex-dividend date. Bonus and splits. Well, these are 2 different actions, but I'll discuss them together because they are somehow very close but yet very, very different. Well, a bonus is a stock dividend. Confused? No, don't be confused. Dividend is a cash dividend, bonus is a stock dividend. So in a dividend payout, you get a cash payout from the company. In a bonus issue, you get a stock payout from the company. So here in a bonus, the company pays you a stock, an extra share in a ratio that they have agreed earlier. So a bonus is a free share that the company distributes to its shareholder. It doesn't increase the valuation of the company, it doesn't change anything in the company, it doesn't change anything for the shareholder except that the shareholder gets an extra share, or maybe in whatever ratio the company has paid out those extra shares. It just dilutes the company's capital in the market. Now remember, we talked about the face value on which the dividend is paid. When a bonus is paid, as I said, nothing happens to the company. It's just that you get an extra share. So nothing happens to the face value as well. So the face value remains the same. There is no change in the face value. You get an extra share. The capital remains the same. Your holdings in the company remains the same. Your total portfolio on that particular share, your total holding on that particular share remains the same. So when nothing happens to it, why do a company issue a bonus share? Well, there are 2 main reasons why. The first is obviously, if a company is giving a free share to a shareholder, it gives a confidence to the company, it gives a confidence to the shareholder as well. A wave of confidence moves in the market. It says, wow, this company is paying us free shares. This company is doing great. It has got great value. It has got great credits. It's giving us free shares. This is a positive wave that comes out in the market. And of course, the second one is it increases retail participation. So as soon as the number of shares increases, so the retail participation also increases in the market. Splits. Unlike bonus shares, splits a particular share into smaller units. So unlike nothing happens to the face value in case of a bonus issue, in case of a split issue, the face value also gets split. So again, one particular share, if it's broken down into 2 pieces, it's split into 2 halves. That's how a split is looked at. So let's try and understand the bonus and split by a very small illustration we'll take you to the Excel and we'll try and see how it looks like, how bonus is different from split and how they are very much similar and yet different. So here you see the table on top represents a bonus issue and the table here represents a split issue. So here, what does a bonus issue say? Say if I get a 1:1 bonus issue, or if I get a 1:1 bonus from a company, which means for one share that I have, the company is giving me one more share as a free bonus share, which means, say suppose I have 100 shares in a company, each is worth 20 rupees. So if I have 100 shares in a company and I get a 1:1 bonus issue, so for every share that I have in the company is going to give me one more share free. So after the bonus issue, I'm going to have 200 shares to my name. So what is the total valuation that I have in the company before the bonus was declared? So remember, as I said, nothing changes within the company, nor the total valuation, nor your holdings. Nothing changes before and after the bonus issue. So here, with 20 rupees a share and 100 shares to your name, you had a total investment of 2,000 rupees in the company. Now these 2,000 rupee remains the same even after the bonus issue. So after the bonus issue, you now have 200 shares to your name, and the price of one share now is just 10 rupees. So the total valuation stands at 200 shares into 10 rupees per share. It's 2,000 rupee each. So 2,000 rupee as your total investment in the company. So here you see the price or the total investment you had before the bonus issue was 2,000. The total investment you now have after the bonus issue is also 2,000 rupees. Now let's look at the split issue. Well, a split issue says a split of 1:2, which means one share is split up into two shares. So what does that mean? That means if you have 100 shares in a company now, it's going to be split up into 200 shares. It's just split, one share is split up into two pieces. So 100 share is going to be split up into 200 pieces. So now shares before the split is 100, shares after the split is 200. Price before the split is 20, so you have a total valuation of 2,000 rupees just in the first case. Okay, if you take the similar scenario, 100 shares, 20 rupees each, a total valuation of 2,000 rupees in that company. After the split, these 100 shares are broken down into two pieces, so you now have 200 shares. But as I said, in a split, the face value also comes down in the same proportion. So in a 50-50 or in a 1:2 split, if the number of shares is broken down to give two different shares, the price also gets half. So the price becomes 10 where it was 20 earlier. So now the total valuation, again, it remains the same. The total money that you have with the company was 2,000 rupees. The total money that you have after the split is also 2,000 rupees. But now you have 200 shares and at a price of 10 rupees per share. So that makes your total valuation as 2,000 rupees. So overall, if you were to buy, if you had purchased this share and if I had purchased this share, for you and me, we would basically say there has been no change in our value and our investments. Okay, so from the top, it doesn't look like bonus and shares or bonus or split has got a big difference. But yes, it has, because bonus gives a very different information to the public. A split gives a very different information to the public. So this is how a split and a bonus is different in its own terms. Now, what are the advantages of a stock split? A stock split increases the liquidity in the market. The second advantage is if the price of one share is very high, splitting it into 2 pieces, 4 pieces, 10 pieces would bring down the price of a share to a very smaller amount. So it helps small investors like you and me to invest and participate in the market. And also doing this, they send out a very positive signal outside to the shareholders, to the investors. But these are the advantages. So what are the disadvantages? Disadvantages are mainly, I would say, it attracts wrong type of investors. People who want to trade in the market. You will get many traders who would enter the market after a stock split because the prices have come down. Small traders like you and me would be excited. Okay, fine, the price is down. I can put in my money. I have this much of capacity. So it increases the retail participation, and hence wrong people, wrong traders who do intraday trading, they come inside the market and they start playing on that stock, which otherwise would be very impossible to do when the stock price is very, very high. Well, the other disadvantages are it really doesn't change the company's fundamentals. Nothing changes in the company. No monetary benefits, no wealth appreciation happens. And on top of that, stock split program, it's a costly event for the company. So the company spends a lot of money to do a stock split. So when no good comes out, there isn't any major monetary benefit for a company. It's just for the company to liquidate its portfolio so that it's accessible to a lot of retail investors. Companies do take these kind of steps to bring out a bonus and a stock split. A fourth corporate action is known as rights. Rights are events when a company wants to get more capital from the market. They bring out these rights issues. So how does it happen? This happens when a company wants to get more money from its own shareholders. So what do? They put an offer to the shareholders. They say, okay, fine, you own 4 shares from this company. I'll give you an opportunity to buy 1 share at a discounted price. So maybe the share price currently in the market is approximately around 100 rupees. Now I have 4 shares in that company. The company tells me, okay, fine, I'll give you a rights issue. You can buy 1 more share of this company at 91 rupees, 92 rupees. That's a straight 8 rupee discount or an 8% discount. So if you think it's a very lucrative discount, if you think you're getting a straight 8% profit on that one particular share, you can go ahead and buy it. Now, just because the company issues a rights, gives a rights issue, you don't have to go and buy it. It's up to you whether you want to buy it, you don't want to buy it. It's all up to you. It's not a forced deal that you have to purchase it. No, you may decide to stay away from it. If you don't want it, you can look into the market. If you feel it's a good opportunity, if you feel the company is good, if you feel the company is going good, if you want to acquire more stake in the company, and if you see the current trading price of that particular share is below the rights price, it's only then you can go ahead and buy it. At times what happens is the company might declare a right issue, but by the time the date comes when you would buy that share, if on that particular date, if the market price of the share falls below, say 91, 92 rupees, and the company is offering you a share for 92 rupees, and you are getting a share at 90 rupees in the market, why would you go and buy a rights issue? You can directly purchase the shares from the market at 90 rupees. Well, the other important corporate action is a company buyback. What is a buyback? A buyback is something when a company buys back its own shares from the shareholders, right? So just like we distribute shares to the shareholders in the country, we want to buy them back. Why do they do it? They do it to increase the profitability per share in the company. So if me as a promoter, if myself as the owner of the company, I hold 50% of the shares in the company, or maybe I hold 51% of the shares in the company, then I know the company is doing good. I know the company is doing great. I have the money at hand. The company is going to be great in future. So what are my options? I can definitely go ahead and buy back my shares from the shareholders. It improves the profitability on a per share basis. It also allows me to increase my stake in my company, right? So if I buy more shares, my stakeholding, my shareholding in the company would go up from 50% to 60, 70 or whatever it is. There is another way to prevent other companies from taking over. Say currently I have a 49% stake in my company and the remaining 51% is with the public. Now all of a sudden a big investor, a big person starts buying my shares from the public, from the market. And I as a promoter, I notice this is happening. The first step that I would take is to save myself, to save my company. And how do you save your company? To get a majority stake in your company. So if the other person takes the remaining 51% of the shares of your company, he becomes the owner. Remember, you have 49%. If he takes 51%, he becomes the majority stakeholder. And so he becomes the owner of the company. To prevent that from happening, what do you have to do? You have to be a majority shareholder. So currently you have 49% stake. You have to buy the remaining 2% stake in that company. That will take your stakeholding to 51%. And then no matter whoever takes the remaining 49%, you still remain the majority stakeholder and you are still the owner of the company. There is another aspect why this is done is, say suppose the stock price is falling down and me or the promoter buying all his shares in his own name gives a signal to the shareholders, okay fine, there is something good in this company. So that's why the shareholder or the promoter is buying back the shares. So it generally stops the downfall of a share price. So what are the advantages? Just like as I discussed, it gives a positive signal outside to the shareholders, to all the people around you. It tells them that, okay fine, this company is doing good, it's buying back its own shares, so something good is in future for this company. So these are some of the corporate actions that a company takes on its shares for the benefit of the market. We'll see more of these and more of other issues, your point of view in the market, how to do technical analysis, fundamental analysis, and we'll go deep into stock market analysis and details in this series. So stay tuned, like and subscribe this channel, and do visit this playlist where we will take you through the entire stock market and anything and everything that you should be knowing in a stock market, and how to handle stocks, how to analyze stocks, and how to find out good buys, get out of bad buys, and make a solid concrete portfolio for yourself so you make good profit and come out with a very good life for yourself. Till then, SC signing off. Goodbye.